guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name's Malcolm. Now I'm talking to the World Tag Team Champion, one half of the World Tag Team Champion. He's a tag team right now because there's two of them at MLW Blood and Thunder. On August 9th, he's challenging for the World Championship against Matt Riddle. Donovan Dijack, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Now, I mean, you have a big opportunity coming up on the 9th for the World Championship against Riddle. Now, I know you've had an opportunity for that world title against him. It didn't necessarily go your way, but how are you going to come back in this match and actually get that title?
Listen, man, pro wrestling is all about capitalizing on opportunity when you get it. And so far, I've had two matches against Matt Riddle in MLW. This will be the third matchup, I think. I can't remember if the first one was for the championship or not. Anyway, we've met a few times now, and honestly, we've met more than a few times. This will be probably my maybe 15th or 20th match against Matt Riddle in my career. And I'm
Wow.
going to be honest, I've never won. I've never beat Matt Riddle before. So listen, the odds are in my favor. I have the scouting plan. I know what he's about. And if at first you don't succeed, try again. I think that's going to be the my motto going into this one. And we're definitely going to come out of it with a W and with that MLW World Championship.
I feel like you're gonna win. I can see it happening. You holding the two championships up. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Oh, it's possible.
Absolutely. Now, what intrigued you about joining the MLW roster initially? Because obviously they have a great roster full of talent. What intrigued you about joining that roster?
Definitely their willingness and their expressiveness to commit to me and my vision as a professional wrestler, right? I didn't I was in WWE for a long time and I wanted a fresh start and I wanted a company that had a similar viewpoint of me as I do of myself. And if a company doesn't, that's okay. I'm not angry about that or resentful or anything. I'm just looking for a placement and opportunity that works sufficiently on both sides of the equation. And with MLW, it was very clear for me from day one, from our first interaction. Um, Court Bauer, the owner and operator of MLW, contacted me probably within 30 minutes of my notice to the world that I was no longer with WWE. So
Yeah,
it was instantaneous. It was, he was upfront. He was quite honest with how he felt about me, and I was quite honest with how I felt about him, and we've been honest with each other ever since. And it's been a very, very mutually beneficial relationship.
definitely, definitely. And as someone who's wrestled in like all these like major stages and whatnot, coming to MLW now, how do you think that company continues to grow? Because obviously they're having their big events on YouTube, they're streaming it for free. How does that company continue to grow? Because I feel like a lot of people now watch MLW, but there's still a good amount of wrestling fans that are just trying to figure it out. So how does that company continue to grow?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so to me, growth is incredibly important. I'm not interested in being part of a company that doesn't have an upward trajectory and vision for themselves. MLW has expressed both publicly and to me as well their interest in growing and their avenues in doing so. I don't think they want to jump too fast into any sort of streaming deal or anything like that. So they're waiting for the right time and opportunity for that. They've been very public about that as well. I think we have a lot of intriguing matchups, and I think that there is a continued effort to grow in that direction, whether it's more shows, more opportunities every month as they spread to different geographic regions and things like that. And yeah, it's more networking opportunities. The relationship with CMLL continues to grow. The relationship with New Japan continues to grow. We even used MJF as a full-time AEW roster member this past show in New York City. So yeah, the opportunities are growing and the company is expanding. Um, I've noticed from an internal standpoint in terms of PR and being able to broadcast our message to different venues and different aspects like that. It's just it's been clear to me that that's been the direction. We've been selling out houses since I got there. Every show has been sold out since I got there. So yeah, there's a clear upward trajectory, and I want to be able to help push us in that direction.
Absolutely, man. And you are one half of the world tag team champions. Your other partner being Bishop Dyer, Baron Corbin, for people that are now becoming aware that you guys are in MLW and you are the tag team champions. Talk to me about that moment of you guys winning the titles. And now it's like this is the first major championship for you guys outside the WWE.
I mean, it's my first major championship ever. So, so very exciting for me on that front, and especially to be able to do it in front of the crowd in New York City against two tremendous opponents, again from CMLL, furthering that partnership and that relationship, and to be able to do it with Bishop Dyer is incredible. He's had such a strong and illustrious career, and I sent out a tweet a few days ago, just recapping his past couple of years and how I've had a front row seat for all of it. And now, moving over to MLW, am going to have a front row seat probably closer than anybody's ever had, because I was there for his whole NXT run, and I'm going to be there for a major portion of his MLW run as his tag team partner. So he's tremendous in the ring. He's tremendous out of the ring. Between his business ventures and his online social media uh, presence, between his cooking and all that stuff. And then all of it translates in ring as well. He's an outstanding talent in ring, incredibly giving, incredibly creative. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. And the great part is we've only wrestled one match together so far. And right now we're tag team champions. So we're trending in a great direction as is MLW.
Absolutely. Now, it's been about a year and some change, about a year and a month since you left the WWE, and now you're part of MLW. You're doing all these independent dates. What have you learned about yourself in the last year and a month, just about like you as a person leaving outside the WWE?
Um, I'm much more resilient than I thought, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
I'm wrestling more now, more frequently than I have ever in my career before. There was a point in March where I wrestled, I think like 9 or 10 shows in a row in the span of 8 days across 3 continents. It was ridiculous. I did 2 shows in New York and then flew to France and did a show in France and then flew to India and did 5 shows in India. It was and then flew back and did a show in Maine or something. So I was literally all over the world
Yeah.
within a very short time span. I've never done anything like that before in my career. So to be able to explore new ventures, I was able to go to Mexico for the first time, and so honored for it to be with, the biggest luchador company in history. Is a huge honor. I was just announced that I'm going back, so that's going to be incredibly exciting. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I've had to wrestle different styles. I've had to wrestle different people who don't speak English, all sorts of different barriers that I've been around obviously in my career, but never been fully immersed to this level. So it's super exciting. Now I get to, explore the venture of being a major champion in a major company. So it's definitely interesting new ground, but I'm excited to tackle it. I still feel like I'm in the prime of my career. It's the later prime of my career, but still in the prime of my career. I mean, I'm still able to have high quality matches, even even as recently as I just worked for Glory Pro Wrestling in St. Louis, which was a tremendous match against Cody Lane. I'm just going to continue to go out there and do what I know how to do best, and that's be a pro wrestler and teach professional wrestling to other pro wrestlers, because that's what I love to do.
Absolutely. Now, is there anyone that you haven't wrestled yet on the independent scene that you want to get in the ring with? Because last time I saw you in person, at least you're wrestling Zilla at House of Glory. Awesome match, by the way.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that you haven't gotten in the ring with that you want to?
The Zilla match that you just mentioned
Yeah.
was the second match of that 8 match, 9 match tour that I just mentioned. I started off in New Jersey at 6 p.m. I drove all the way to House, all the way, geographically not that far. In traffic, it was pretty
Yeah.
far. And I literally drove in my gear and my boots, showed up to the venue as like the show was starting,
Yeah, I remember that.
got to the back, and we called that match literally like as our music was playing, like maybe 4 minutes talking to each other. It was a
Wow.
very old school sort of feel. So that kind of stuff is the kind of experience that you literally can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
And to be able to do something like that with such a young, talented prospect full of potential, I'm sure it was an incredible learning experience for him. It was an incredible learning experience for me. But those are the kind of matchups that I want, right?
Okay.
There's a handful. There's a spattering of guys who are at the top of the pro wrestling world right now that I haven't wrestled yet.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I've wrestled most of those guys, right? In my career, I've wrestled John Cena, I've wrestled Randy Orton, so if they're not retired yet, then I probably wrestled them. And there's a handful of guys that I haven't at that level, like I've been involved in segments with, but I've never wrestled like Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay, for example. But most of those top guys I have. So for me, it's kind of more about like the young upstart up and comers.
Yeah.
And for a lot of those, I learn about them like as I'm going, right? There's not like a big list of them anywhere. It's just I go from territory to territory, and that's kind of usually the type of opponent I get is like, hey, this guy's our champion, and he's a brand new champion. He just started 3 or 4 years ago, and we want him to have, a main event style match. And I say, can do. That's what I'm here for. So I learn about a new exciting talent every week, and it's a wonderful experience because it's different. When you're with a company or when you're with a brand for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you go through the whole rotation, and by the time I was done with Monday Night Raw, by the time I was done with NXT, it was like, all right, there's only 30 of us, and I wrestled all of them. So, what's next? Do we just go through the circle again, or hope someone gets called up or moved down or whatever? So it's very refreshing to have like, the whole field to work from. So that's kind of my idea of a dream matchup nowadays.
That's awesome, man. I remember talking to Zilla after your match, and he was mentioning how you guys called it right before you guys walked out there, and I was like, I couldn't even tell. I could not even
Yeah.
tell at all. It was great. You would have never known the difference. But
Oh, he's tremendous.
oh yeah, no, fantastic. Now you mentioned some of your time in WWE. I want to touch on a few matches from that time period. And you say you worked John Cena. I noticed it was a dark match. You and Riddle, or Cena and Riddle, taking on Mason T-Bar. What was it like wrestling John Cena, like being in the ring with someone like that?
It was a crazy experience. We were informed by we heard from somebody else, and then we got called into Vince's office because Vince wanted to like personally tell us that John had personally requested us.
Oh,
Um, in in the moment, we kind of assumed it was because he was looking for like, you know, bad guys, and he was looking for like larger bad guys because that's kind of the prototype, right? That's what all the top baby faces always want, like a large bad guy to overcome, right? It's classic storytelling. It's very smart, to be honest.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, he had requested us, and we were able to speak with him and pick his brain, and he was so helpful and informative. But there again is another Matt Riddle matchup that, of course, I lost. But just time is a full circle. Um, but yeah, no, incredible experience being able to work with John. Albeit not a tremendous amount because kind of not a tremendous amount in ring because the format of a standard sort of John Cena dark match is like jump them from behind and then he exits the ring and then we just beat up Matt Riddle for like 99% of the match and then John comes in and just
Yeah.
blows his normal comeback and just beats us. So that's what it was, but it was fun for like the 45 seconds that part of it lasted. But the real experience was talking to him beforehand and talking to him afterhand and getting all of this feedback and knowledge, which is so applicable. And I've been able to, pass that on to as many people as I possibly can, which is extremely helpful for both me and them. And I was grateful for the opportunity.
Is there like a piece of advice you can share that John Cena told you?
He's it's a very similar sort of uh topic that he's touched on before
Yeah.
many times, but the biggest piece of advice that I've heard from John Cena is to focus on what you can control. And I heard that within the context of the match, right? but he also talks about it on podcasts and interviews and everything. He mentions this to everything. And it always means more coming from someone who you know has lived throughout these certain circumstances and even in ring or out of ring and things like that. So yeah, for me, that's really become sort of a life mantra is to be able to control what I can control and focus on the things that I have control over because there's so many outside factors that don't play a role. So for me, that's of incredible importance.
Definitely, definitely. Now, another big match that I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily talk about. It was you at Worlds Collide in 2019 versus Harper. How
Mm.
important was that match to your career? Because like that had to be one of his last matches within the WWE as well.
It was, yeah. I think it was his last singles match, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he appeared quickly in a they did like a Bray Wyatt Hell in a Cell type thing, maybe a few
Yeah.
months later, and I think he was involved in that some capacity. Maybe he wrestled the night after on Raw too as well. But for the most part, that singles run, I think, more or less sealed the deal for him in WWE. I remember it meant a lot to him. Um, he was very vocal about wanting to be on WrestleMania and being discouraged that he was on Access, but he was equally vocal about how big of an opportunity he felt this was for him. And in his eyes, it was an opportunity to both test himself and to create like a proof of concept in terms of I'm not done, I'm not like washed up, I'm not over the hill or anything like that. And that was exactly what he went out there with the intent to prove. And not only did he do that, but he also put a lot of trust in me because at that point, you know, I was very immersed in sort of that like uh, indie NXT hybrid black and gold style. So he allowed me to sort of take the reins in terms of the structure and design of what we were going to do, and then he of course inserted his expertise in there as well. And what we created was very when you get that combination of both trust and experience,
Mhm.
which is something, by the way, that I try to copy and steal, quite frankly, and mimic as much as I can in my career now. Because most of the matches I wrestle now, I'm the more experienced and I'm the more veteran type.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I end up taking the reins, but I do try to preface everything I do with what would you like to do and what do you think about this and give me your opinion, right? Because when you have that combination of experience and trust, it really is the formula for making magic in a pro wrestling ring. So yeah, it was so special. We got to ride the bus over to Pier something. It's right across from the Statue of Liberty. I don't
Yeah.
even remember. Maybe they're doing stuff still there for this weekend. I have no idea, but it's a nice big venue. We got to ride over with his family. I think his youngest son was an infant, like a baby on the bus, and his wife was there, and his young son was there. So yeah, it was really special. They were all sitting in the front row. I think maybe they hadn't seen him wrestle like much in person, or maybe that was the first time the baby had seen him wrestle or something. I'm not sure exactly what the full story was, but yeah, it was incredibly special. People do bring it up somewhat often, I would say. Maybe the second most often match that's mentioned to me behind my takeover Portland match with Keith Lee, which is the number one match that people bring up that they I think as time moves along, people remember things further back more fondly.
Yeah.
I'm finding that as we move further and further from my second run in NXT, that stuff's being brought up more and more and more. So in 5 years, they'll probably bring up the triple threat that I had at Stand and Deliver, like like that'll be the number one match that gets brought up. But as of this moment, those are kind of the top two, and I'm very proud of that. I'm super proud, and yeah, it's a great memory to have and a very special match to me. I'm glad that it's on YouTube for free, and it has been on YouTube for free, I think, since we did it. So yeah.
No, certainly. I thought it was a fantastic match. And you did mention Keith Lee. I was going to mention him as well. How aware was WWE of your matches with Keith Lee on independent scene when you guys came up to the main, or not main roster, but the NXT? Because when you guys obviously had your matches at Portland and whatnot, the chemistry was amazing. But were they aware of how many like matches you guys had beforehand?
That's a great question. Short answer, I don't know. I would suspect that on some level, yes.
Yeah.
Probably not to the effect that it was like sat down and watched by the office or anything like that, but probably just generally aware that it was a thing would be my suspicion. Um, I don't know that anyone in WWE is really like sitting down to like watch indie matches or anything like that. But I think that they're generally aware of like the pulse of things that are happening.
Okay.
Maybe they do sit down and watch. I don't know, but it was never told to me that anybody, sat down and watched those matches. What was told to me, which was from Keith himself, is that he was there's a window of time there, right? Because I got brought in late 2017. He got brought in early 2018.
Yeah.
So from the beginning or middle of 18, maybe end of 18. I don't remember the exact timeline, but somewhere in 2018. And then he did maybe like 6 months to a year, which was mixed with like a Cassius Ohno feud and a Lars Sullivan feud and some stuff like that. And it wasn't trending as upward as he wanted it to. Which wasn't like the Lars Sullivan match, for example, got like a bajillion views on YouTube or
It did.
whatever. It did very well. But I think his trajectory in terms of where he viewed himself in the NXT spectrum wasn't going exactly where he wanted it to. And so he told me that he personally went to Triple H and said, like, look, me and Dijak have this great history, and like, can we do something on that front? And I, I didn't hear like exactly what the response was, so maybe he did see those matches, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But the proof is in the pudding that he seemingly liked the matchup. Although I did hear that the first match we did was supposed to be a one-off. That was told directly to me from the office. Again, I don't know whether they're telling me what they know or what they don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You kind of play it by ear. But I was told by not Triple H, but somebody else in the office that that match on that day was supposed to be a one and done. And then they liked it so much that we just circled back to it like in a best of seven series that paid off at Takeover Portland. So yeah, like you hear all the time the plans change. So in that aspect, plans changed in a great way. And obviously his, upward trajectory went probably exactly where he wanted in terms of
Yeah.
NXT because he became the first ever double champ in NXT and yeah, he's had a very great career ever since. So super proud of him. I hope one day we can run it back again and finish off the series. That would be wonderful.
Definitely need to. Did you have like a favorite match of yours outside the WWE between you and Keith?
Oh, that's a good question. So most people go to the what was my final indie match before WWE, which was PWG Bola Night through 3, I think.
Yeah, three.
Um Pro I'd say probably that one for me, just for like sentimental reasons, because the timing was so awesome and perfect in terms of what it was. Because technically, I was like under contract with WWE when I did that match. Interestingly,
Oh wow.
it like hadn't initiated yet because I asked them if they could hold off a couple days so I could do the PWG Indie in California. But yeah, just from a sentimental standpoint, it was cool that that was my final ever indie match. In terms of in ring, I don't know, maybe our first ever matchup at Beyond Wrestling in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
because that was super special for me, and it was almost like a discovery process. Like while we were out there, like oh wow, like all these things. I was like realizing how big and mobile and athletic he was, like all in real time. So that's kind of creative and cool. The PWG match is like again, it means a lot to me sentimentally, but watching it back, it's like wow, we did a lot of stuff that isn't particularly my cup of tea, but I knew not just me, we knew it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
We knew like here's what we want to do to elicit the biggest reactions from this particular crowd. Because the PWG crowd, especially that Rosetta crowd in 2017, they're a very rare breed of professional wrestling fans. Like they've seen everything in the world. So you
Yes.
almost have to be like, all right, what ridiculous, ludicrous thing can we do to give them like a wonderful experience. So I think we really dove headfirst into that and explored it. So while like on paper I watch it back and I'm like, yeah, that's not that's not exactly my cup of tea, but it is a fun watch and it was an enjoyable experience and it has a big sentimental value to me. Yeah.
Three more questions for you, and I'll let you go because I know you
Sure.
got a busy day. You got a lot of stuff going on. You're a big wrestling superstar. If you could wrestle one celebrity, who would that be?
Wow. Um, right now it's probably Paul Walter Hauser.
Oh, that makes sense.
He's
Yeah.
tremendous. He's a great dude. He's great to be around. He's such a wonderful ambassador and asset for us at MLW. I think about it all the time about how fun, unique, how what's the word? I feel like we could draw a ton of eyes. I
Yeah.
feel like we could draw a ton of eyes between his star power and his emotional investment in pro wrestling and MLW and my ability to, elevate
Yes.
pro wrestlers. I feel like we could have like such a wonderful feud and matches and chemistry, and I'm very close to pitching those ideas.
Should.
He's unfortunately not in a tag team, so I don't know exactly how the layout works out. But when I beat Matt Riddle for the MLW World Championship, that'll be right at the top of my list.
I feel like it has to be like Fantastic Four themed though, because he was just in the movie. Like
I
you have to do
would
something
love
related.
that. I would love
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Now, two more questions for you. How do you have the godly ability to ratio everyone in the world?
that. Um, I don't know if I've retired that or not. It's been a while since I've done one.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of not beating a dead horse, so I
Yeah.
like to as I wear a shirt that says Super Ratio on it. Um, yeah, I know there was certainly a time in 2024 where that became a real sticking point for like at first it was just like a funny thing that I wanted to do on Twitter, but then I remember very specifically the it was WrestleMania weekend in what was it, Philadelphia
Definitely.
last year, where where I was walking to go visit my buddies, MXM. They're with AEW right now, but they weren't at the time, so they were just independent wrestlers, and they were at WrestleCon, which was over uh, maybe 2 blocks
Yeah.
away from the WWE hotel. So I was just walking down the street to go see them at WrestleCon because it was one of the few things that I wanted to go out and visit while I was in town to do my takeover match or whatever we call it, stand and deliver. Um, so I was walking down the street and people were like yelling out to me. They're like, "Oh, Dijak, what's going on?" And then more than half the time they were talking about ratio. They were like, "Hey, ratio man, you want a ratio man?" Stuff like that, just yelling it across the
Yeah.
street. And that was the first time where I was like, "Oh, it's probably a good thing to have a like a marketable word," right? As Jey Uso found out, or Stone Cold Steve Austin
Yeah.
25 years ago found out, Daniel Bryan 10 years ago found out. Like having a marketable word is like a very, very unique hook. But what I also found out is that it's a volatile thing, right? So whereas it gives you sort of this identifiable aspect of you, it also creates a lot of animosity. Like people start to, you know, hate on you for it.
Yeah.
Um, so to me, it had outlived its well, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it anymore, but like my second shirt on the indies, for example, was a big ratio shirt and it did very well.
Yeah.
I just don't want I don't want that to like identify me, right? Like Chris Jericho had the list and then he no longer had the list, right?
Yeah.
It lived its time. I feel like the ratio thing has lived its time. I'm sure Jericho like references the list or brings it up or he's got he's him, Matt Hardy, a lot of these guys I idolize in terms of how effectively they've been able to reintroduce themselves over and over and over again. That's something that I want to do because it's kind of been part of my career. Obviously not as effectively as them, but like I was Dominic Dijakovic, then I was T-Bar, then I was Dijak, and then I was Ratio Guy, that so it's to me it's always like what's the next step? And a lot of those were out of my control, right? I didn't choose to be T-Bar. I was given T-Bar by Vince McMahon. So
Really.
a lot of this has been like trying to, take what's given to me and get the most out of it. And now that I'm in control of that, I want to be like a real creature of reinvention. So, which again is a little difficult without like a consistent weekly national television show to be on. But we want to get there. I want to get there. So I'm gonna continue to try to reinvent and trend in that direction as best I can.
feel like there has to be a special ratio when you win the world title from Matt Riddle, though. Like, yep, has to be some kind of ratio in that moment. There has to be.
It'll have to be more special than ratioing. I've ratioed the president of the United States and I've ratioed Twitter itself. So I don't know. I don't know that it gets.
Ooh,
I feel like the ceiling is very high, but but yeah, maybe I'll try.
maybe like a Taylor Swift or Beyonce. Like, it's possible.
Borderline impossible, but
You never
I'm
know.
willing to give it a shot.
You never know, man. Now, final question for you. I ask every wrestler this at end of interviews. Dijak, what is your Waffle House order?
Yeah, no, it's it's a great question. I did my research. I try at first I was like, what's a unique answer? And then I was like, what's a funny answer? And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah.
The God's honest truth is I haven't been to a Waffle House in like 9 years.
Whoa. Oh
So
no.
I don't even know what's on the menu anymore. If I had to throw out a guess of
Yeah.
what I got the last time I was at a Waffle House, because you know why? I'll give you the why of why I've not been to one.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
It's not because I hate Waffle House.
Okay,
It's
good.
because I love Taco Bell. I'm addicted to Taco Bell.
What is wrong with you? That's what? You choose that? I understand they both not the healthiest, but both of them gonna give you
What a
bubble guts,
great,
and you pick Taco Bell?
what a great honest reaction.
Taco Bell, bro. What?
What
That's
is
like what
wrong?
college kids eat at
It's
2 a.m. You
literally
don't
a
eat Taco
lot.
Bell
I
as a
mean,
grown man.
I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to sit here and like vouch for Taco Bell. It's just what I
Oh,
like.
this is
It's
shameful.
my
This is
comfort
shameful.
food, okay? It's 4 a.m. What are my options? I got Waffle House,
Waffle House.
Taco Bell. I go to Taco Bell.
Oh,
I don't know what to tell
no.
you. I'm the kind of guy who likes to get home to my children as quickly as I possibly can. So if
Fair.
Waffle House comes up with a drive-through, maybe they do.
They
I've
don't.
never seen a Waffle House drive-through. I like to get my food, eat it in the car as I'm driving home to my children,
It's
so that
justified.
I can be with them as much as possible because I'm on the road so much that I like to be home every second that I can be.
Yeah.
So that's my cop out answer. But yeah, if you told me I was on the road and I had all the time in the world and I couldn't go see my kids and now we're going out to eat at Waffle House, my order would probably be God, I don't know. What's like a basic you're the expert.
Basic.
You tell me
Yeah.
what's like if I want a nice protein filled
Hmm.
uh order,
Hmm.
but with like a unique sort of like their specialty waffle, what would that look like? What would I
I
get?
would honestly just cut up some waffles into a cup, right? Hear me
Okay,
out. This is about to get weird.
I'm
Then
listening.
in that cup, you ask for Waffle House sauce. You take all
Sure.
the sauce,
Yep.
pour it into the cup,
Mhm.
take the fork or whatever, do some of
Mhm.
this, turn it, right? And
Stir
then
it.
you just eat the waffle out of the cup with the sauce, and whatever sauce is left over, you got a straw for a reason. And then you know what to do.
I think you ignored the word protein that I said and just did
Oh
what you
yeah, yeah. I
said.
mean, you put some weight on top of it if you got it in your bag or not, but
I think you just gave me your order instead.
yeah, I did. No, I mean, if you could get some eggs if you want that, but like I personally wouldn't. That's just me though. That's how I live my
Listen,
lifestyle.
listen, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try
You
it.
need to. You know what? We'll
I,
make it
I,
happen one
I,
day.
the funny part about me is I love variety, and
Yeah,
I'm the guy who loves to try everything. And
yeah,
then you know I get into a situation. I'm like, I'm gonna get the exact same thing at Taco Bell every single time, like every night in a row. I don't know why.
yeah,
It's because I don't eat Taco Bell like in my normal life. Like I don't go out to Taco Bell. It's only when I'm wrestling. It's like my
yeah.
wrestling like celebration meal. Like, yeah, I had a good match. Time to go eat Taco Bell. That's my go-to for
Man,
whatever reason.
I would say I'm not judging you for it. I'm judging you a little
No,
bit,
that's
but it's
fine.
okay.
I deserve
Yeah.
it. I'm not going to
Ugh,
sit and defend myself. I deserve the judgment. Please feel
man,
free.
absolutely. Wow. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna say thank you for your time because I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate it. I'm a big fan of yours. Where can they find you on social media if they're not already following you?
Yeah, everything is at DIJAK FYE. All my social medias are DIJAK FYE. I don't know when this is coming out, but if it comes out before August 5th or August 7th,
Yeah.
I have an online wrestling academy, which is tremendous. You go to the DIJAKWrestling.com, which is the home of the DIJAK Wrestling Academy. It's an 8-week course. And yeah, I'd love to see you there. You can learn all about professional wrestling from the comfort of your own home, just like this. This is where I sit to teach class, 2 hours a week, every week for 8 weeks.
Perfect.
Enjoy.
If you tell any of your students to get Taco Bell after their matches, I hope they ask for a return, a receipt,
No,
something,
that's
because
the
that's
lesson.
crazy.
We spend day one talking about Taco Bell.
There's
That's the
someone that's
entire
definitely going to
lesson.
buy it just for that reason. DIJAK, thank you so much for your time, guys. My name's
Oh
Malcolm.
yeah.
This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. Hey.